Please listen carefully.
Harv and Pawn is live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, was
Pawn, half, pawn, half, and pawn, and 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 pawn, and half, and pawn, half and pawn.
Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn.
and I am Harvey, and welcome to Harv and Pawn, the best show in the world. What? What? It is the best. Oh my god, I am. Jesus, look at me.
Yeah, look at you.
What has happened to my body?
The transporter beam is starting to malfunction. The pattern buffer is just not holding together. Jordy, the fuck? Are you back on the Picard show, by the way? Because I haven't seen Jordy. I don't know. Jordy's over there, apparently. He's hanging out with... He's in the booth today with Houston. Houston, are you enjoying the time spent with Jordy LaForge? Is he helping you to read anything with a rainbow, perhaps? Is any of that involved? Yeah.
We are both wearing red shirts today. Well,
Yeah.
shirts, jumpers, same difference.
We're wearing shirts. TNG, that flew right over my head. I'm just looking at the difference of like the color and the tone and whatnot, and the fact that you're at what is this 56K modem era in terms of
something like that.
Why is that,
not
Harvey?
Too far.
Why is your quality reduced?
Well,
at least the quality of your video.
Today we're streaming from an improvised studio out here in a different city to the one in which I normally reside. So this has all been impromptu set up, including green screen, and you may notice, different microphone and different headphones, and so on and so forth.
Broadcasting
this microphone,
live on location.
Exactly, yeah. Just as Matty Hayes has said, live on location.
Oh.
This microphone is really nice. I just like it.
How many came in the box, in the kit? Did you just check
4.
one out? 4? Do you think that they might not notice if one of them didn't make it back?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm apparently the first person to book this kit out from the university.
Oh, wow.
So they're interested in my feedback. And my feedback is going to be, nah, they're terrible. You should, just get rid of them. I'll take them off your hands for you if you save you the trouble.
I threw one of them away, so you're just going to have to deal with that.
It wasn't
One's
working
not making
anyway.
it back. Welcome to the Harv and
Surprisingly,
Pawn
actually,
show,
these
by the way.
microphones, they're only £100. They're actually less than I thought they would be. I think technology has come on a little way since. God, when was it that I got my blue snowball? When was that released? Maybe 8 years ago.
Really?
No, maybe. Let's find out. Blue Snowball.
You
Release
find
date.
out. In the meantime, I'll say hello to Pony and Maddie Hayes and Kiddabob in chat here. Harv, why did you wear a red shirt? Yeah. Let's see. I have munched an entire baguette, and now I am sleepy as my tummy is full. I have been doing that a lot lately. I've been I can't control my sleep patterns because of myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's a big part of the thing, but I can at least control I can influence when I'm going to sleep by just eating. So I've been doing that. I'm actually on a really cool sleep schedule right now. I feel really good about it. It is a no schedule, which, I've been on similar things before, but usually what happens to me is I end up in the vampire sleep schedule, where I am waking up as the sun is going down, and then I'm falling asleep as the sun is coming up. And that just seems to happen. Then I'm stuck there for weeks, and then finally I break out of it, and I'm on a day walker schedule again. and and then, it just, that cycle repeats. I can only hold on to the day walker schedule for so long. What I've been doing lately is just really leaning into having no sleep schedule whatsoever, and it just rolls around from day to day. And so, wake up, have a nap. I just sleep whenever, I feel tired, and I wake up whenever. And that just, it feels so good. It feels so much better than everything that I've tried before, to cope with having a intolerable sleep schedule due to my disease. Just to have no standard whatsoever, and just be ready to be like, oh, hey, it's 4 a.m. All right, I'm feeling good. Time to get up and start doing some things. Okay, I've only been up for 6 hours, but I feel like I need to go back to sleep, so fuck it, I'm going back to sleep. Oh, I'm staying up for 16 hours now. Just letting it all happen. It feels good.
I mean, hey, if you can embrace it, then that sounds like the way to go.
How long, by the way, has it been with the blue snowball?
2005.
Oh my
15 years now. 15-year-old mic, the one I'm using. At least in its original release. It may have been, updated and improved since then. I don't know. But it's insane. So, yeah.
We're getting older. I mean, you're getting older. I peaked. I am as old as I can possibly get. I don't think that I can get any older from here. 92 years young, and that's just where I'm going to stay. And I enjoy it. I sleep when I want to. I wake when I want to. I don't fucking care. I do as I please.
We're going to find Victorian paintings of you in various time periods throughout history, always the exact same. Immortal like Keanu.
I love that as a thrown insult at someone. Somewhere there's a painting of you growing older. Just
yes, Justine923 Harv is so pixelated today. It's because I'm live on location, making do with less than optimal internet speeds, I'm afraid.
God, but the mic looks great.
It's pretty sad.
Harv's got a soundboard today. He's the only one of us who has a soundboard
today. Hey.
Holy crap. Wait a second.
Yeah,
Lift that back into frame again if you can without breaking everything. Oh, it's mostly see-through. What the hell? Some of it makes it through and some of it doesn't. We're overwhelming the internet connection, I think, with all of that audio.
Yeah, maybe I'll tone off of that one. That wasn't even a joke. Oh, I love it. Love it very much. So, how has your week's been? Because now we have to start doing the things we would say in the UK, but might be misconstrued elsewhere as meaning something else. How's your past fortnight been?
Oh, I don't play the game. I'm mostly a cluster truck runner. I have just been banging away at my friggin' auto splitter. I did a complete tear down and build up for the uninitiated. I am writing a auto splitter for speed running that automatically times your runs for you in Python, and I have been writing this project from the ground up based on having started it a year ago and got it to a point where I was like, okay, it's in beta and it's ready to release. And then it just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough. So I've already decided, all right, I rewrote it from scratch using different methods. And just this week, I then completely reimagined the structure of it to support multi-testing and technical things and stuff like that. But so it was like rewriting from the ground up the thing that I rewrote from the ground up. And it's brilliant now. It's solid as a rock is how it's running for me. So it's ready to be shipped as an alpha. I just need to compile it and start handing it around to the other speedrunners and get some feedback. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing this week. What have you been up to?
Spending most of this week in a different city in Sheffield, staying over with Julie, my girlfriend. I've been pretty much just working. I went climbing for the first time in a little while over the weekend with my landlord, which is nice. He's a really nice guy.
Climbing with your landlord?
I know, right?
Y'all do?
I feel like... Well,
Nimbus.
the interesting thing is that my landlord and I have essentially one main thing that we can really bond over, and that's tenant problems with the other tenants in the house. I feel like it brings us together. But yeah, we had a good time. He's a nice guy. And also this is hella cool, by the way.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Assy. Who's that of? That's... Why is there... That's... I can't pick that out.
Jesus? Is it Jesus?
It's Jesus with... That's a dark mustache. But Jesus has got some googly eyes there, too. A little derpy with the just firing off in different directions.
Yeah, those that positioning isn't quite perfect, is it? You know what? I bet someone has written a script where you can input a photo and it turns into ASCII. I'd love to see someone find one of those and put in a photo of this set in ASCII.
Oh, yeah.
Take a screenshot right now, somebody. See if it can be done.
I'm just going to let you know, by the way, there's nothing you can do about it, but occasionally you do fart digitally, Harvey. You are... There's a little bit of... And then I went to the landlord, and we had climbing.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's just pretty sad.
Oh, just lean into it. This is why we leave the soundboard in Houston's chamber. He's not responsible with it.
Yeah, Houston, you must feel pretty good about taking responsibility for the soundboard, right?
I'm not allowed to talk today. I don't have...
Sure you are. Come on, who made up these silly rules?
Well, the makers of Sound Plant 47 made up these rules. They want $50 from us, so there's no way that I'm talking to... Oh, shit, we owe them $50. I gotta go.
Can I just let me get this out of my system, right? I want to run through all the ones that this thing has because man, it has. There's this.
A magical fairy princess. Oh, go on. Do they have multiple buttons for different canned laughter? Or is it just that sort of pathetic kind of, because that's not exactly like a full room's worth of laughter, is it?
No, that's purely like a stand-up comedian in a room of about 13 people, and half of them are kind of laughing.
Yeah.
This is a bit more like
like what I
Oh,
just
right.
usually expect.
And then in reality, what we actually get from here is more like,
Now, on my end, I think that's at a particular frequency that Discord doesn't like to encode necessarily, and so it
oh,
sounds kind of like a homeless man sort of scraping your windshield. You can tell it's crickets, but it sounds like maybe he's like, oh, no, I'll just wipe this off for you. You're like, don't do that, and because he's got like glass in his hand or I don't know.
I'll clean your window for you. It's scratching it. Stop.
It's a Tesla. Get the hell away from it.
I have self-cleaning windows, douchebag.
And meanwhile, I'm digging a tunnel from where I live to where I work under LA. You know, that's the thing. As much as like this has come up in my mind recently, I think because we were talking about wealth inequality recently on the show. But as much as Elon Musk is the Tony Stark of the real world, you know, the one decent billionaire out there who's doing something that's really, you know, it's arguably worthwhile with his billions. It's still like I can't not look at the fact that one man should not have the resources. Like one human being, an individual, should not be able to wake up in the morning and go, you know what I'd like, you know what I think I'd like to have, my own space program. And then have it, you know? You can wake up in the morning and think, it'd be nice to have, but you're not allowed to have it as an individual. If you can have a space program and dig a tunnel from your house to where you work under LA, that's there are people starving because
Too
you can
much
you can
power.
have that.
I don't know. I don't think I agree with you, as we probably kind of got across on the previous episode. I quite, I see. I don't know if unfair is the right word. You would definitely say unfair, of course, and I would agree in like 99.99% of cases. But I think like some awesome stuff gets to happen because of people like Elon Musk being able to accumulate such ridiculous amounts of wealth in one person. So I'm kind of like okay with that in many ways.
I'm just
Also, I'm sure
of
that
the
I'm
mind
internet
that
farting.
yes, you were internet
Continually.
farting just a little bit, but I'm just of the mind that the one Elon Musk we get is not worth the well, what else did we have recently? We had a billionaire child sex trafficker. So that was fun. You know,
Yep, that
somebody
happened.
literally selling like 14-year-old. I'm sure virginity was on the menu at those prices that he was, you know, to other rich people, which means, you know, that it wasn't just one man who was sexy. He needed like customers. So there are, you know, other fellow 100 millionaires out there who also feel entitled to that kind of a lifestyle. And it's just, we have all of them, and then we get one Elon Musk. And I'm saying I'm willing to do without one Elon Musk if we can get rid of all of them.
Yeah, although the whole kind of child sex trafficking thing is probably still going to happen, but hopefully less. You'd
Yeah, not
hope.
on that scale.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully,
And also,
Trump
when you
isn't going
were
to stay in
caught
office for much longer.
sex
So
trafficking,
that's
you will actually be punished because you're not a billionaire. You know, that's the other thing. That's the big problem.
yes, true. It's harder to lobby Congress to not punish you when you don't have the money to do so.
Yeah, when Congress requires your funds to become Congress. And it's mainly the Senate. I am of the opinion now, politically, in America, that I figured it out. I figured out how we fix America, everybody. And it's, we just get rid of the Senate. Okay? The House of Representatives, which is the larger body of our representatives, they go to battle and just war and just, they do everything that you would want from like a bullpen of government, just shouting back and forth and trading, you know, making deals and saying, all right, I'll sign that one. I don't like it, but I'll sign onto that. But you got to sign onto this. They do all that. And there's so many people in that room that, you know, it's a big self-filtering process. And then they come up with legislation that, you know, is virtuous. and that they've gotten enough people to agree with out of this room, just hundreds of people, and then they send it to the assholes in the Senate who think that they're better because they are the cooling saucer of the government. They are, we were elected to represent the entire state kind of people, and then just like all these good ideas die in the hands of the Senate, and it's a single point of failure for our entire government in these, in this era of corporatism, where you've got this small number of people whom you can just pay and support and give money to and help them get elected. And then you can just stop all legislation basically there by controlling that. And meanwhile, you've got these hundreds of other people. If we got rid of the Senate, I feel like just the way that the House of Representatives works, the way that people are elected to the House of Representatives, it would be much harder for corporate interests to have the authority that they have over our government. Not that they wouldn't try, not that they wouldn't spend that money, but the thing is, someone running for the House doesn't need as much money as running for the Senate. So there's only so much you can buy them, and only so much they can feel like they're in your pocket. Whereas a senator, they're deeply, deeply indebted to you for making them a senator with their money. So that's all we'd have to do is just, if an asteroid conveniently fell out of the sky on the Senate on the one day where everybody showed up, then boom, we fixed America. I see no other way out of it.
If there's one thing that we could ask a god to do for us, because you could say like, oh, cure cancer, oh, fix malaria, fix Africa, but God,
Fix Africa.
from all the evidence we've got so far, he's not benevolent. He wants there to be a little bit of malice in there somewhere. So drop an asteroid on the Senate. I mean, I'm not incredibly familiar with US politics and the whole setup of the political system, but from what you've described just there, greenlit the project. Go for it.
I like that you describe God as someone who you could appeal to and who would be like, curing cancer, I don't know, that seems like malaria, yeah, that's AIDS. Oh, children starving. Ooh, drop an asteroid on some folk. Okay, tell me more.
I like to think that God just has this one big Trello board full of tasks, and they kind of just get filled up, kind of like in, was it Brian Almighty? No, what was that?
Bruce
Evan Almighty?
Evan
Bruce
Almighty and
Almighty.
Bruce Almighty. Bruce was the first one, I think.
Bruce Almighty, where he funnels all prayers into his email inbox.
Yeah.
I like to think that God literally is just going through, going, God, there's too many of these to kill Trump.
He's got to have a lot of those in his inbox right about now, though. Like he's clearly not listening to that either. That's got to be
busy.
a prayer that's coming in.
That would be a good skit, actually. What is God doing? He's far too busy, clearly. But with what?
You know what? I had a number of bad jokes come in. All right, so I'm not going to say the bad joke, but I'm going to bring this up because it's going to come up in my head again. The Kobe Bryant, right? It's Kobe, wasn't it? Who died? Kobe in a helicopter accident. Kobe Bryant. Yep. Kobe Bryant and his daughter went down in a helicopter accident. And I only, picked it up tangentially because I don't, follow the news, that sort of a thing. But, like, let's just, you start out and say, it's a tragedy because people died, and that's basically as far as I get, because it's just, every time that you have this kind of celebrity death kind of thing, it just makes me, when it's brought to my attention, it makes me just kind of like reflect on how fucking weird it is that, suddenly a whole bunch of people pour out to be like, oh my God, what a tragedy, our hearts and prayers, our thoughts, and, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, let me just, hang on, quick, just real quick here. Google, how many people die per day What do you think? Huh? No, not in the news. What's your answer? I should have just asked her on my phone. Of the roughly 150,000 people who die each day, about 2/3 die of age-related causes. 150,000 people per day die, and then a celebrity dies, and it's like, oh my god, and people talk about it and stuff. It just feels fucking weird, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It strikes me as like, I mean, I guess you can argue it's the whole kind of ignorance and feeling of distance to people. You can very easily feel closer to a celebrity than you can to a random fucker in Botswana, whose uncle has just died. So
Yeah.
there's kind of the familiarity metric, I suppose. But yeah, the whole kind of outpouring on social media, some of it feels it's just like, well, sure, it's sad and it's tragedy and so on and so forth, but none of you knew them, and all this like somewhat posing insincere outpour of support. I mean, I
Yeah, I mean,
wonder
if somebody
whether the
touched your life,
families.
that's one thing, especially, with celebrity and stuff like that. When Robin Williams died, that was like a holy shit, because, it's like fucking, I aspire to be somewhat humorous occasionally on these shows. But so, Robin Williams was a big influence on me. So to feel like, oh wow, but I feel like a lot more often we find people just sort of piling on to say, oh, what a tragedy kind of thing, and jumping on the pile, and it's like, yeah, and 150,000, 7 people died in that helicopter crash apparently. So what, 149,909. There's a lot of other people died today, and most of them, I'm gonna guess all of them, didn't have the resources to die in a privately owned, helicopter, having been a massive celebrity and stuff like that. It's not that it's not a bad thing that someone died or that a celebrity died. It's just, whenever we pile onto it, I can't help but see the opposite, which is that the compassion for the people who aren't in the limelight and aren't on the stage isn't really there. And, it just draws my attention to that.
Well, this ties in relatively well with the topic of
Oh my
today's show.
god. Did I segue? Did I
You
accidentally
very
segue?
naturally segued, and if you hadn't pointed it out, then we might have gone straight into it without having to explain it.
Oh shit.
God damn it, Bon.
I'll have to work on the
So-
landing. It's hard. You gotta stick. There's a little bounce. There's always gonna be a little bounce, but you just stick it. All right, I'll work on it.
Topic of today's show is creator versus audience, or some kind of rearrangement of those words. The vague idea being, why are we in this situation where we have the creator and the kind of audience, and there's a separation, there's clearly some sort of hierarchical level of perceived importance going on.
Well, it's clearly
Is it
related to
possible
the bit
to-
rate based on what's on the screen right now. That's the separation. You have completely
Separation.
destroyed the screen just by moving around a little bit. There's all these little chunks and bits of gray just floating now. Thank you for wiping it clean.
Oh boy, it's working overtime to try and encode that. Jesus. What I was going to say is there a way, I'd like to pose to you, is there a way to exist as a creator of the type of media that we create without feeling a sort of separation between you and the people who watch you? Is there kind of a community-driven way to be doing this in a where nobody feels like anyone is better than anyone else, or more important? Is that possible?
No.
Thanks for watching the Harv and Porn Show. We hope you enjoyed today. It's been great having you out here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Yeah, we'll see you next time on the Harv and Porn Show.
Just cut to black. No, I'd like, because really, like, what it comes down to is a barrier. There needs to be a fucking barrier. You know, I have found out firsthand, like trying to build a community and be open and be, you know, like right down in the fucking right next to people and, you know, that kind of thing. Just really reach out. And it's just, it doesn't like, it only works when the people who you bring in are truly like friends. You know, there's so many different people who are going to emerge and try and get something from you, who just want, you know, they've venerated you and they put you up on a platform and now they just want to be there. And just this nervous, weird energy of, I want to do things for you. And it's like, no. Like, what you're talking about, can it be without that? I don't think it can be without that, because you're always going to have, you know, some people, fans and things who are going to just kind of get weird when they're around someone who they really like. You know, if I had run into Robin Williams before he died, I probably would have been, oh my God, Robin Williams. I would have been trying really hard not to be, oh my God, Robin Williams. But like, it doesn't work from the audience side, and so the creator needs to just have some fucking space and distance and separation.
I think that's
think?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And I'd say that the problem is when you are making content for anyone to watch, that person isn't there to watch the other people who like to watch that content. So, I mean, if you did want, Kidderbob is suggesting in chat to have anyone be able to join the Discord call at any time, you just end up with a weird, awkward orgy of people not really saying anything, just existing in this Discord call, and that's no fun to watch. So who the hell would want that to happen?
I've actually gotten really close to having done that on live streams, you know, because, you know, experimenting with things and bringing in like Patreon supporters we were playing Minecraft on the Minecraft server, and I'm streaming and we're playing Minecraft, so I'd do the first hour and it'd be like the show, you know, and I'd be doing my thing and making the funnies and the laughs and whatnot. And then, you know, let's have, you know, the supporters come in, anybody join the thing over, and it's just like what ended up happening for me was that I just ended up kind of just playing the game and just, you know, they were chatting about what was going on in the game and trying to figure out, you know, they're just talking like they're playing the game, and then it's basically the show is over. And now it's just we're broadcasting our play, which is fine because that's part of what this platform is built around. But for me, you know, this is it's an entertainment art form, and you know, I may be playing the game, but I'm playing the game well. You know, it's the canvas for trying to do something that's fun. That's
inherently
art.
Well, inherently, there's kind of a false. I don't know whether falsity is the right word, but you are constructing something when you try and be entertaining in that way. You know, you're setting up this persona and setting up your own jokes so that you can hit them on time. And there's a lot of artificial stuff that goes into it that you don't get when you're kind of having a conversation, unless you're having a conversation with someone else who is on board with that. And so if you get in kind of random people who aren't on the same wavelength as entertainers, you don't end up with that kind of entertainment, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to sound like douchebags for a lot of this conversation, I think. Because it's going to be like, oh, we're entertainers, you can't just walk in. But I mean, it's a fucking fact. And you know, it's a job. It's a career, it's a profession. And you wouldn't expect somebody to walk in off of the street without experience and start, you know, performing surgery. Not saying being an entertainer is absurd, but you know, any job, you don't walk it off the street and just start doing it and doing it well on day one. You've been doing something for a number of years and you know, honing a craft and finding a way to keep things moving, keep the energy up. And how do I, you know, entertain? How do I make it a show? And, you know, you think about with comedy in specific, like the people who do like improv comedy professionally, where it's improv groups, where they show up and they've got, you know, it's like, from the audience, where are we? You're in an airport. Okay, we're in an airport. And what are we doing? You're, masturbating. We can't take that, but okay. You know, and they just roll off of that and they throw themselves into a situation. There's no plan and they just work it. These people spend fucking hours upon hours throughout the week, running through sketches with each other in order to feel out each other's movements and get into like rhythms and patterns and just develop the craft of being able to spontaneously take a banal suggestion and turn it into something, something that's worthy of being called entertainment. It's a job, it's a profession, it's an art form, and when people try and cross that line, thinking, hey, I'll just come over and, you can't just do that. You can just throw yourself in and start learning, but, inviting people onto an established show and expecting that they're going to be able to hold their weight up in front of an audience isn't even fair to them.
Yeah. Well, I just want to clarify as well that we're not talking about, anyone from the audience coming on the show, it's going to ruin the show or make the show worse.
Yes,
it's about the intended... Shut the... It's about the
derailed
purpose of them being there. So, for instance, Matt, when we had Matt on the show, we had a specific topic that we brought Matt on to help us talk about. And so that was like, yeah, we know what this is going to be doing. We've got the intention. Everyone's on the same page, on the same wavelength, and we roll with it. Whereas it is the main kind of problem we see emerging, like you've said, is people just wanting to be there, to be a part of it. Like when you see a celebrity and you want to just say hello, and you don't really have anything to talk about with them because you don't know them, but you want to say hello because you've heard of them, right?
Yeah.
So let's move. So I mean, that's pretty kind of clear cut. The fact that
I actually heard a story once, and I can't remember if it was told by the person who did the thing or if it was told by Jim Stewart, but the story was just that some guy saw Jimmy Stewart in a gas station. I think maybe Jim Stewart told this story, and it's almost a non-story, but it says something of like James Stewart is at a gas station pumping gas, and somebody pulls up, and they roll down their window and they go, "Hey, Jim!" And he gets done pumping his gas, puts it over, and he walks over like, "Hey, somebody, nobody calls me Jim," so he just walks over, and then like the person just sort of sits there and looks at him, and then he goes, "Oh," and he turns around and walks away. And that's the full story. But I mean, it says something. You see the celebrity, and you're like, "Hey, Jim, I know you." And it's like, yeah, I don't know you though, Who the fuck are you calling me? Hey, Jim! Yeah? And then you're in that awkward position. Imagine being the person in that awkward position, like, oh shit, do I know this person? Hey, how's it going? It's just, no,
so it's about,
everybody knows you.
So it's about purpose. I think it comes down to purpose. In that situation, if you wanted to say hello to Jim and you just want to say hello to Jim, then it's rubbish. But if you kind of like, oh man, I've always wanted to ask him that specific question, maybe then you have a follow-up to when he comes over. So this idea has been posted in chat a couple of times, people saying, if you want to get the audience involved, have it like an actual live comedy club where you have them in there with the purpose of being an audience. It's just that the audience happens to be in the content, which is kind of redundant because the audience is already there being an audience anyway. We have them typing things on screen right now. So we kind of already have that level. It would be, it's kind of like doing a live video recording of at the back of a pub where someone is doing stand-up. You'd be trying to capture that kind of vibe.
Mm.
Would that be good? It probably depends on the people. Like if you're an improv comic or a good stand-up comedian and you can do that kind of thing, then probably, yeah. I don't know how good we would be at that. I mean, I've had no experience of that at all.
Yeah, working with hecklers.
Yeah.
My favorite comedian of all time is Bill Hicks. And man, when he got a heckler, he would just utterly destroy them. And I'd love to have the bravado and the balls to, like, you got a heckler in the audience and they're shouting up things, and that kind of thing. And he would just lean into them and just make them feel like the stupidest person in the world. I believe he, chased people out at some point, just like yelling at them and stuff. They got up to leave and whatnot, and he's still yelling at them. You standing close the fucking door. It's a doorway, asshole. There's people trying to come through. And they're just leaving, and the audience is just loving it. And it's like trying to do that, like take individual members in the audience who are making a fucking nuisance of themselves, get the entire audience on your side, and then chase them out of the building. Holy shit, that is a skill all, in and of itself.
I think I've seen many clips. You always get those compilations come around on YouTube of comic destroys heckler. And half of the time, I feel like it's kind of just sad and awkward. Half of the ones I've seen in these compilation clips of best heckler destroyed moments, right? So theoretically, they would all be incredible moments. And maybe there's kind of the context of being in the audience or having seen the entire show before this one clip, which is lost when you isolate it out of context like that. But half the time, it's great. And half the time, it just is kind of, well, that's sad. I wish this guy just was never here,
Mm.
And I think a lot of comics can see examples in other comedians of dealing with it really well and try and imitate that and end up just being a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very fine line to walk to be able to do that.
Yeah, because I think the problem with how you respond to a heckler as a stand-up comic is that fundamentally there's just two ways of doing it. You can either roll with it and try and take what they're doing, turn it into part of a joke and play with them and be like, if they're saying you suck, you can be like, yeah, I do. This is not going. You can play with it, or you can attack. And the problem is if you choose to play with it and they and play with them and they decide that they're not going to play with you, that they're not going to like let you build something that you can work back and forth, then you've given up the ground. You've already lost the ground to like then destroy them. Like you can then, but you've already like you're on stage, you're in front of people. This is a show, and you've already like given them like that weakness level, and now you'd have to like get serious in the middle of your comedy show. And be like, dude, and you don't want to get serious ever on a comedy show. So it's better to just keep being in that joke state and just shout, profanities at them and just burn them down. Oh, where'd you get that fucking shirt? By the way, Hula Dave, and just start burning them down immediately because everybody's still on board with, it's still a joke. It's still part of the fun. But yeah, heckling, I would love to do stand up at some point. I have a little place, just little bar down the street that I don't usually go out at all, but when I do go out, it usually ends up being Trixie's in Hamtramck, and they do multiple like comedy nights throughout the week, which is crazy for them. They're big in, they're big into the amateur comedy circuit, and it's really just you go in there and it's all the local amateur comics just listening to each other tell jokes on all of those nights, Tuesdays and Thursdays and stuff. It's not like people are coming out to see it's not that kind of the scenario really. But I have very often had the mind to go up there with no set, no plan, and just say, can I get up there? Okay. Hello, I am the Rodent Pawn. And then figure out what it is. I mean, that's how I do these the live streams on my channel, All right, I'm going to be playing Cluster Truck today. I hope I can come up with some dick jokes.
Do you think we have that transferable skill then? Because I think you innately do have that. I mean, what you do on the live stream is close enough in many ways. Although you could say that having the game there is a real nice, easy escape for when you have nothing to say. You just go back to playing the game. Whereas there is no escape in a stand-up situation. But is there much crossover in the skills that we develop by doing these kinds of things that we're doing right now? Would it be applicable?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
I wonder.
Ugh.
I think some innate ability to string a sentence together under pressure, that kind of stuff is definitely going to be transmissible. But
oh god, Kenneth brought up Duncan MacLeod. Oh, did you? So how familiar are you with the Highlander? Harv?
Not at all.
Oh, not at all. Shit, Highlander. No. There can be only one. There's immortals, and they got to chop each other's heads off and everything. And the television series back in the day, I watched a lot of when I was very young. I watched a lot of that series, and we were doing a live stream recently, and I couldn't remember the name of the character. I knew it was something very sort of Scottish, something really Mick Gavin something. And I asked in chat what it was, and eventually I got the answer back that his name was Duncan MacLeod. And I just cracked up for like the next 20 minutes. We went to a live stream break. I was crying in laughter, and then we came back from the live stream break, and I was still laughing. Just because I had watched this show for so long, and it had never occurred to me, Duncan MacLeod, and just realizing how long that joke, had just escaped me. Slammed me in the face, and with its cloud, it was Duncan its cloud right in my face. Duncan MacLeod, the main character of Highlander, was Duncan his cloud. Okay. I mean, if it would have been an era of Twitter, if Twitter would have been around for the first Highlander series, that show would not have been out for 3 seconds before people would have been on. Oh, Duncan MacLeod, huh? It was a
race to be the first person to tweet about it. Yeah,
it was a more innocent time.
I love this. You just reminded me when you say a more innocent time. Do you think that people have a perception of, say like the 1900s as being a more innocent time when, people weren't modern day people, some things that we might find funny about what they found, about what they did and what they said in their media. Oh, wow. They didn't even realize, the innuendos they were making. I feel like some people have that perception of older comedy as being a sort of unintentional when it's good. But humans have been around for a fucking long time, and you can be a person from several centuries ago and be far more intelligent than many people alive today. Like, human intelligence and wit hasn't vastly improved. It's just that maybe the tastes of society have changed, right? So I was just listening to this podcast that was talking about the Wild West, and how the Wild West of America never really happened in the way that people think it happened. Like, cowboys were never a thing. They were just boys who herded cows, And there's so much kind of content from that time, like things that people wrote in newspapers that people look at and go, oh, wow, it's full of sexual innuendo. Oh, they didn't know what they were doing. It's like, well, yeah, they definitely did. I mean, they were having more sex than you are now, Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
What is it? So Joseph Heller's shit. What's the book? The funniest book ever written, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think you could ever have a funnier fucking book. Joseph Heller's Catch-22. Catch-22. The only book that I've laughed out loud at basically throughout the entire book. You're reading a book and you are laughing out loud as you're reading text on a page.
That's impressive.
And it just continues, that sort of a thing. So that was written when it was written, and I feel like I want to look this up because I was thinking Catch-22 was in the 50s. Catch-22
1961.
1961. Okay. And then go back from
satirical
there and
war
say,
novel.
I got so much enjoyment and so much humor out of reading Charles Dickens, for his characters that he wrote. Wilkins Micawber, this incredibly verbose character who just goes on and on and on, and who always seems to be starting out by saying, other people would in my situation, if they were in my situation, another person would be complaining to everyone about their situation. If they were experiencing the things that I do, like this, that, and the other thing, they would be complaining. And he just goes on and on and on, and he's just complaining while he's talking about how he would never complain. But other people, they would, they'll just tear your ear down, and I wouldn't waste your time. Right. That sort of a thing. And just brilliant fucking comedy. And, when was Dickens writing? I actually don't know.
What you just described there was practically a perfect definition of humble brag, right?
1800.
It's kind of humble brag turned humble complaint. oh, a lesser man would be making so much noise about how terrible of a situation he's in right now. If he were a lesser man than I am far too good of a man to. Yeah.
That was Wilkins McCawber, and it was just great because he was also he was prolifically, he wrote constantly in terms of letters. He was constantly communicating with people by letters. So Dickens would just have their character receive a letter from Wilkins McCawber, and then there's the letter on the page, and it's like, oh, so and so venerable, and it just goes on, and it's so fucking wordy, and it's all about, oh, your majesty of grace, just like everything is a compliment upon to the person he's talking to. Just everything is just making you love him. He loves you, you should love him. And meanwhile, talking about how he would never ever do anything to inconvenience you. And that said, I will not be able to attend your party. Just whatever it is, he would never whatsoever do exactly what he's doing right now. That kind of genius of comedy, that's, 1800s, I'm guessing the early 1800s when Dickens was writing that sort of a thing. So, yeah. Genius is genius outside of era and time. And I think you're very much on the point when you say that just societies changes or tastes change. But the genius is still there.
But there's two parallel streams because you've got changing tastes for the certain things which are purely subjective. Like, can you say humor? Yeah, humor's subjective, definitely. But then you have kind of the second stream running in parallel, which is objective increases in like quality, as demonstrated by current video quality. Some things are just better. And so what we do have kind of in the modern era of creative media is like the technology has improved and modern films are better to watch because we've got cinematography really nailed down. Like the best of the best are definitely better than 1960s films, even if the actual wit and the humor and the writing isn't necessarily better. It's a subjective preference. But I wonder, because writing has been around since humans first learned to write. So is it just because we're on the real, first stepping stones of these types of art forms? Because, cinematography is definitely an art form. So is it going to be the case that in 200 more years, cinematography is at that level where it's like, well, the cinematography from 100 years ago is just as good as the cinematography now. We've kind of reached a plateau and it's all about preference and subjectivity. Do all things tend to that direction?
Well, I think in 200 years from now, there won't be any cinematography. The way that they're already doing things, they'll just, program a computer to make a scene. And I guess you technically call the positioning of a 3D camera in space. But at that point, they'll just tell the computer, okay, so John Wick's puppy was just killed. He should be angry. There should be like 20 dudes, and he kills them all, and have him do some flips and shit at the same time. And then Google's like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
There's a great YouTube channel called 2 Minute Papers. If you want to keep up to date with kind of the latest advancements in AI and neural networks and things, 2 Minute Papers does a lot of that kind of stuff. And I saw one yesterday, which was incredible. It was AI generated images from natural language descriptions of things. So you can literally say to an AI, bird with orange beak and white legs flying towards a branch. And the AI generates a procedurally generated image that's photorealistic and describes exactly what you just told it from scratch. It's not a copy, it's not pieced together from other things. It's learned what those things look like and has created something out of nothing. And if we can do it with images, then we're really just around the corner from doing it with video. In fact, people probably already are doing it with video. So
someday you'll be able to say, Google, make me a film starring Natalie Portman, circa 2000, and just that will be a horrible, horrible era. We've already got what
That
is it
will
that
be.
we've got right now? The idea of you can just sort of paste someone's face onto a human actor. I can't remember what it's
Yeah,
called
deep
now.
fake.
Deep fake. Yeah. So you can create video where it's got someone else's face on someone else. And yeah, at the point where you can say, you know, make me a film with this actor or actress from that era of their career, or give me an image. I mean, it's going to be great for the porn industry, and that's why it's going to be awful for everything else.
Yes. Well, you know how terrible it is that any 13-year-old can make YouTube videos and stick them up, and we have the cream of the crop on YouTube, and then the iceberg of shit that is beneath it of just random horrible content. Well, as technology increases and AI becomes available to more and more people who are not necessarily, don't need to be trained to be able to use it, there's going to be more and more really impressive and very perverse things created by unskilled people who have no talent, and it's just going to be oof. And yes, Kenneth, yes, I made videos when I was 13. I think I even made videos when I was 12 at one point. I started early. None of it was good, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing that I was able to do that, but the content definitely wasn't good. so it still
noticing-
applies. My argument still applies. We're going to be seeing some incredible, terrible stuff come out of people.
I'm noticing that Gentle Vendetta is saying someone needs to deepfake Harv onto Pawn. I just wanted to say, how do you think he's there right now? Harv wasn't available. He's on vacation. This is Steve. He's a homeless fella who lives on 4th Street in Detroit here, and I paid him some money, and thanks to my new Python-written auto-splitter, I am optically manipulating, which is why we've got such low fidelity. And then, of course, augmenting the voice and just predictive learned behavior on what Harv would probably say. It's really cool because now, I can just do whatever I want, and then Harvey doesn't have to have any input in on it. I don't have to check in with him. I can just make the show however I want, and then just, we just predict what Harv would have done, and if I don't like it, I just change some things, just AI, and like Harv say, we're going to take a live stream break now. We'll be back in 7 minutes.
We're going to take a live stream break now. We'll be back in 7 minutes.
Okay. See, it's working. 7 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Harv and Pawn, not out. Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and
I'm here. 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 I'm here.
man has
I'm here. I'm here.
perfect
I'm here.
timing.
I'm here.
Perfect
I'm here.
timing.
I'm here.
You're here. You're here. He's here. You're here.
No,
Welcome back to the
no.
show. No, that was perfect timing. I did the setup, and you shut the door, and Harvey is, boom. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. It's perfect. Telling. See, that's what entertainment is about. That's why you can't just walk on the set and do it. You got to be so studied in another person's patterns. No. You know how long it's going to take him
was
to
so
drop a
in
deuce.
Mentally on the same wavelength. It's all about their wavelengths. I'm glad that I wasn't too late because we have a very special thing to show you right now, and I really want to see it because it's one of a kind, really. The upcoming skit that we have for you today, courtesy of the Ronin Pawn. Do you want to give it any sort of intro, or are you going to roll straight into it?
You know, we talked a little bit earlier. You were talking a little bit earlier about sort of, you know, how human beings got started and with language and things like that. And I imagine that was rather difficult at the beginning, language, trying to figure out how it would work. And I think we've been left with some problems in the language. Let's go live on scene to, I don't know, this skit. I don't really have a good transition for this, but here's this week's skit, everybody.
Hey, Ted.
Dave, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. How are you liking this weather?
Oh, you mean the sky not having the fluff in it and dropping the water on us like it sometimes does? Yes, it's been quite pleasant.
Isn't it just? Listen, Ted. I'm putting together a hunt.
Oh, are you? You know, I think I was feeling hungry a bit earlier. That's a good idea. When are you planning it for?
This Wednesday.
This Wednesday. And what's it today?
Thursday.
Huh. Then this Wednesday's already gone, Dave.
Sorry?
Wait, have we invented time travel?
What? No.
I mean, with the wheel and now language, time travel's coming.
No. The hunt is this Wednesday, as in this coming Wednesday.
But that'd be next Wednesday, wouldn't it?
No, next Wednesday would be the Wednesday after this.
You mean the Wednesday after next?
No, Wednesday after next is 3 weeks away. My God, Ted, we'd all have starved by then.
No. But listen, the next Wednesday we shall encounter is what you just called this coming Wednesday. Ergo, this Wednesday is next Wednesday.
No. This Wednesday is the Wednesday we will encounter next, which is followed by next Wednesday, i.e. the Wednesday after this. Therefore, were we to hunt the Wednesday after next, it would be 3 weeks away.
Are you sure we didn't invent time travel?
Definitely.
Well, I find it all very confusing.
I think it's simple enough.
Well, let's just drop it, okay? Oh, say, I saw you out with Margaret the other night. You dog. What were you two getting up to?
Oh, well, she and I, we went up to the, up high, where the edge with the pointy rocks, which is overlooking the where there's less land.
The cliff at the valley.
Yes, that's it. And, well, a gentleman never asks and a lady never tells.
Oh, you dog. And this was all yesterday night when I saw you two. Not last Wednesday, but just last night.
Yeah.
So this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Aha! So this Wednesday, the Wednesday of the week that is presently this, aka yesterday, our collectively shared past, you and Maggie fucked.
What? Shh, Margaret's with Jim. If he finds out, he'll brain me.
So if this Wednesday, not last Wednesday, is yesterday, which it is, of your own account, then next Wednesday is this coming Wednesday, and Wednesday after next is 2 weeks less one of today.
Less 1 week.
Less 1 day. It's Thursday, haven't you heard?
Oh.
Now I ask you, sir, what I asked you before. When is it that you want to go on this hunt?
The 25th.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fine. No, I'm free. That's good.
Okay, good. Bring your pointy rock on a stick.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Okay then.
Wait, the 25th? Is that a Wednesday?
Yes.
I've got yoga Wednesdays.
Oh, for fuck. Jim, we're gonna have a talk about this language thing of yours.
And we're back. Or at least I'm back. Harv's still watching. And he's muted several different things. Hang on, he's watching. It's coming through. It's good.
There we go.
Okay. Welcome back, Harvey.
I'm 6 seconds behind, so you have to excuse me there for a bit. Yeah. But that was really good. That was absolutely fantastic, if I say so myself. Incredibly
in
well
it.
edited. I
You were in.
enjoyed it. It was great.
Came together really well. I think that's about like 10 or 12 hours editing exclusively when I think about it. 10 or 12 hours editing 4 minutes worth of content. There you
That
go.
was like, I'm trying to decide which one is the best Harv and Born skit so far, because it's either the cult, pyramid scheme cult, or it's this one. And I think this one narrowly wins out just because you had such like perfect timing with the zooms, and the way we worked together on screen at the same time worked really well.
Yeah.
Like there was very few cuts between like different takes that I actually noticed. There was a couple, and mostly just because of like big body position changes. But other than that, it was like so smooth.
Yeah, that was a lot of the editing went into that because, we're on different continents and we're shooting these things to be put together on green screens and stuff. So, we got no director, there's no engineer, there's no producer, there's nobody looking over the shoulder to say, your camera needs to be a little bit higher, which was the next week's skip for me. I can't tell because my camera's viewfinder is half broken. But yeah, I was just thrilled with the way that managed to edit together. Because, when you don't have that level of, like, on-site coordination to try and, like, pull together things, it's very rare to be able to, like, make everything mesh exactly the way you want. I was very happy with that. Very happy.
Also, I think just in terms of, like, visual quality as well, I mean, I'm looking at it in terrible 360p, so maybe it's not as good as I envisioned it being. But just, like, we kind of have got closer to having the consistently decent lighting and the green screen working quite well. And, I mean, a lot of those mistakes that we made in the earlier ones were probably more in the ones I edited. I didn't quite have the green screen set up correctly, I think, in a lot of the early ones. But we're getting there, and it just feels really nice to see, like, some really good stuff coming out.
Yeah, bit of a learning process, too. I mean, it's insane to think that what we're doing right now, especially you've added the complexity of being off your usual location, and so you got the webcam coming over from a friggin' laptop, but you've booked out for fucking professional quality audio equipment for the thing, and 2 different continents, and here we are sitting behind the same desk, and Jesus Christ, we are really killing ourselves for no particular reason. I don't think there's no. Just because it's what we'd be doing. It's what we'd be doing if we weren't doing what we were doing, so I guess that was what we're doing.
Yeah. I very nearly made this all much harder on myself. We might have got very slightly better, well, definitely not slightly, much better webcam quality on me right now if I'd taken all of this improvised setup and moved it into the university, because I have a room booked for right now that I actually could have been in on the university internet. but it was just like with the. You should see the size of this. I'm just gonna fucking.
Oh.
Don't know. I need to wait 6 seconds till I can see what everyone else is seeing. but this suitcase looking thing down here, all of that is just the podcast studio setup. That's just microphones and a soundboard in that big case. And then I'd have to carry on top of that all of the green screen tripod stands and the 2 chairs that I have in order to get this webcam up to the height that it needs to be.
Broke my
I just-
illusion. Fourth wall.
I ruined the virtual studio. I'm sorry. But
So
God,
what the hell are we talking about today? We're talking about I don't know. I had to come up with a title for this thing, so we came up with YouTuber, the streamer versus the audience versus the YouTuber, that sort of a thing.
I mean, to
I
be
have
honest,
one idea about, something that I wanted to bring up in specific about, that's on this topic line. That is, it's so fucking weird to me that in the profession of entertainment, the moment that you try to pay your bills, you're suddenly like, it's so easy for an audience to turn on you and just be like, oh, fucking God, I can't believe just, either you're called a sellout or you're called a sellout, basically. But, trying to get what you're doing out there to enough people, trying to expose yourself, it's just such a double standard that applies almost exclusively to the field of entertainment. That the moment, you go down to the guy working at the Walmart, who the fuck is like, oh, what are you there for? You're not really in it for the love of the work, are you? No, he's not. He's working at Walmart. He's just doing his job. But, nobody like criticizes an architect for trying to make money off of their work as an architect. It's like they went into the field, they studied the field, they're working hard in the field, and then also they're trying to like pay their fucking bills. But when you're an entertainer, like, especially on YouTube, the moment that you try to do anything to like actually just expose yourself, which the exposure is how you get people around, and getting people around is how you pay the bills and all that kind of stuff, it's just immediately like, oh, you're not in it for the right reasons. I'm here, I'm doing
to be
it.
honest,
Fuck.
I feel like on YouTube that was definitely the case any longer than 2 years ago. But I see so many YouTubers with sponsorships now, and their audiences, I mean, at least on the videos I watch, are pretty fine with it nowadays. I actually think I think YouTubers have normalized it because of the drop in ad revenue. That more and more people are switching over to like crowdfunding and Patreon and using sponsors and things. So I kind of feel like it's getting better.
I agree,
sure.
especially about the sponsorships, but I still like catch shit every now and then for as small as in nobody as I am on the internet. I still manage to somehow catch shit for just like, for like my clickbait titles and stuff, which whenever I'm doing a clickbait title, that's part of the joke to me. Like
Yeah.
I love clickbait. I love putting clickbait on something because it's fucking funny. And usually, if you actually watch the goddamn content before going, oh, that's fucking clickbait, another goddamn clickbait artist. If you actually watch my content, when you see the clickbait on it, just a couple of seconds, you'll start to, oh, I see what he's done there. See, he's, like, recently, I had this brilliant fucking live stream where we came up with the Ronan Pawn Big Dick Club for subscribers here on Twitch.
I remember it well.
Big Dick Club.
Yeah.
And I edited that live stream down from a 3.5 hour thing into a 30-minute concentrated. It's a beautiful fucking edit. I'm so happy and proud of that edit because it managed to merge like all the best parts of the comedy across 3.5 hours along with Kidda Bob's subscription. It just put it all together. It was amazing how I managed to do that. I put that together with speed running, and I showed like all the runs with Dusty923 subscription. I got that in there too. Who just is gifting,
Gifted
right?
by Little Magnets.
Little Magnets. Thank you for gifting the subs. Congratulations and welcome to the Harv and Pawn. We need a name for the Big Dick Club. I've already got a trademark on it, Harv. You can't.
Little Dick Club.
Little Dick Club. Lil, Lil apostrophe, Lil Dick
Well,
Club.
that's a bit too close to Lil Dicky, who's a rap artist, so
Oh,
it's trademarked,
shit,
I'm afraid.
right.
Medium-sized penis club.
Okay. Okay. But, I've been having some problems with that because the female portion of my audience is not necessarily on board for the Big Dick Club. And I've been trying to explain it to them, whatever use you might have for a big dick around the house, we're just going to send you. It's not even a big dick, honestly. It's 4 inches. It's the idea is that it would extend and then you'd have a big one. But whatever use you have for, it's just like, treat it like, I don't know, kitchenware, whatever. There's got to be something you can use it for. It's free along with the subscription. Don't worry about the implications of the misogyny that's inherent to the thing. Don't worry about that. Is that the crowd cheering?
Yeah.
Shit, I was on a roll. What the hell was I talking
You
about?
were on
Oh,
a
so
roll
I
and you got
edited
into
that
fucking
video
bullshit.
together. It was the 30
No,
minute
it's dead now. No, you can't talk about it.
No,
Sorry,
it's 30 minute. I edited it together and just brilliant. And the whole thing was that like I improv'd this, welcome to the Big Dick Club. We're gonna send you 4 inches. I just kept building on it throughout the thing, making it more and more, expanding the idea and making it stupider and stupider until it was ultimately retarded, and then it was hilarious. So, that was the thing, and it was really great. The video is really cool because it's a mixture of the comedy and then the actual speed running. I showed a bunch of runs where I fail, building up to the final run where I put in a world record. It was a great fucking video, and then I published it, as I had been doing, and I've given up the practice, to Cluster Truck, to Highway Fight Squad on Reddit. Is the Cluster Truck like official thread, and I've been posting my speedrun videos there for a long time. Ever since the goddamn Connor Ace debacle, basically that whole community just blasts all of my Reddit posts to that thread down to 0, and then a couple of people come back and lift it up to like 8 where it used to be 50 or 60 or something like that. So I got a lot of haters out there. But yeah, I posted that video there, and immediately, somebody's in the comments with, we don't need no fucking clickbait in this thing. And I went out of my way on Reddit to not post that as the title of the thing. Like the title that I gave to this video as clickbait was, shit, I don't even remember. I have to look it up, but it was total fucking clickbait. Something about, 4 inches longer with just this one easy trick or something like that. It's a total like Pornhub, clickbait style ad.
Pornhub advertisers hate this man and his easy trick.
Oh, that was it. Viagra, or no, that was the thumbnail. In the thumbnail, I put Viagra makers hate this man. And then the title was a separate clickbait thing. It was fucking brilliant. And then when I posted on Reddit, I know that I, sit and I go, all right, that's a little inappropriate for this Reddit thread. So I posted it with a different title. And then I put the video behind the NSFW filter. So it was like, I called it Join the BDC, and get, and receive new Winter World PB, because that's what I did. I got a new PB in Winter World in that run. So, like, that was and I still get shit from people like, we don't need fucking clickbait around here. And I know why they're really, after me, because the Connor Ace thing.
Yeah.
But, you still take shit out there when you're just, like, trying to, like, even when your advertising is fucking a joke and it's nested in humor, and, if you just click on the video, you'll see immediately that that's the whole joke that was in there, was the whole fucking live stream was a big clickbait porn ad.
It is one of the most disappointing things when you think you're making not even a good joke, but something that's so obviously a joke, and it just goes straight over someone's head. Like, I posted the Harv and Porn trailer to my YouTube channel, and I entitled it THNPS New Trailer 2020 Vertical Line Original Cinema HD, so on, like as if it was a movie trailer.
Yeah.
But really picturesque somehow. First comment is like, you said it was HD and it's not even 2K.
God.
Jesus Christ, man! It's like that's the joke.
Mhm.
It's titled like a cinema trailer. It's not. It's not. I'm not actually describing what's in the video. It's.
And then in this area, you call somebody out on that kind of thing, and then they come back with you, well, no, mine was a joke. I was saying the thing that would be stupid to say right now. You know, that's...
/whoosh much.
God, I hate this fucking... Just the way that communication has gone. I am not a fan of the mimetic culture, is what I'm gonna say. You know, that everything... It's just, you know, it's like... It's a hiding place for idiots. It's a hiding place for morons. It's a fallback location for when you say something that is objectively stupid and someone comes along and goes, you're being stupid. And then you're like, dude, I was just memeing. Ah! And then you hide under the desk. And it's like, God fucking damn it. Just, how about you quit memeing? How about your memes have some content to them? Instead of this meme is a self-referential meme. So it's a meme that's a bad meme, and that's why I'm memeing it, is because it doesn't make any sense, and it's not funny, and it doesn't apply to the situation. No, that's just irrelevant. That's not a meme. That's ignorance, is my perspective.
I mean, anybody, like, that has existed for a long time. Maybe it's just because the previous version of that was, I was being sarcastic, you know. And maybe it's just that memes are less transparently attempts in these situations that you're referring to. But I have to say, I am a fan of meme culture. I like me some fucking memes.
That's good. That's what makes the show dynamic. I am an old man who's just the damn kids these days with their hula hoops and Burt Bacharach. I can't follow along. You know. And I'm a rabid anti-capitalist who wants to take all of Elon Musk's money away and give it all give it to the poor. And you're like, yeah, but Elon's gonna get us off the planet. That's why this works. See, we're covering both of the bases.
Kenneth 1 says that Poe's law, which is an adage of internet culture stating that without a clear indicator of the author's intent, it is impossible to create a parody of extreme views so obviously exaggerated that it cannot be mistaken by some readers for a sincere expression of the views being parodied. Apparently the original statement by
t-shirt with, I think you're about to read it.
Nathan Poe said, without a winking smiley or other blatant display of humor, it is utterly impossible to parody a creationist in such a way that someone won't mistake it for the genuine article.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the one is that I'm thinking of. It's a much more concise quote. But that is... and the thing is, here's another place where we can have the big dividing wall right in the middle. Not a fan of PewDiePie. Not a fan.
I like
some burn down, tear down arguments with people in the past. About being an irresponsible entertainer and the Nazi jokes and the stuff that he was doing and hiring people to. There was stuff that he was doing that was just way the fuck out of line, and then when people called him out for being out of line, he tried to turn it into I'm being attacked and they don't understand my humor, and it's like, no, you are genuinely being irresponsible on the level that the Wall Street Journal is now writing articles about how you are potentially leading young people into, places where actual racists will pick them up and they'll think, oh, well, PewDiePie said these things. I have not been a fan of PewDiePie, in the past. I looked into his content. Wasn't for me, what I was looking at back, and that was the early days. And then in the middle days, that shit was going on, and that didn't help. And then in the late days, I just haven't gone back. So another place where...
Well, so I didn't like PewDiePie at all in the early days when it was just Screamo, which wasn't his thing. I haven't seen any of his stuff. Now, in the modern days, when he talks about things, I'd say he's pretty open and honest about stuff, and kind of clearly regretful but past it. And I'd say that his attitude now to me is like absolutely fine and probably the right way to deal with that kind of stuff. But that's not to say that I mean, obviously the stuff he's done, I condone, and don't think he's at least then was a particularly great person to be the top YouTuber that all the kids look up to and all the kids know,
Yeah,
role
it
model.
feels a lot better now that his audience trends older. You know, in the early days, his audience trended about
19
as
year olds.
young as it possibly could on YouTube, and it probably trended even younger than that because they can't track below a certain age that are also watching on YouTube, that sort of thing. But that, yeah. What? How the hell did we get onto this topic? We're talking
Well,
about
yeah, no.
YouTube and
Going back to people taking things seriously that you're not intending to be serious, but there's no way of telling. It's the same, I think. I don't know this for sure because I can't remember which way it landed, but flat Earth, right? I swear, most of the people who go onto flat Earth forums and go to flat Earth events, surely it's ironic. But
yeah.
because you can't tell they're being ironic on the forums, other people come in and are like, hey, yeah, this flat Earth thing, it seems like it's a real. Like, people believe this. There must be some science behind it. It's gotta be credible.
If there are people making that decision, though, I don't know that you could help them.
Those people will probably find something to believe regardless.
Yeah, it's probably best that they believe in the flat Earth as opposed to the many other things that many other people who would lead them into a forest and have them just here have some Kool-Aid with us. We're all going to the pyramid spaceships in the sky that are coming. Don't worry about that aftertaste. It's cyanide.
I caught up with all of the backlog of episodes of the podcast I was listening to that I've mentioned a few times, not overthinking that one. So now I've started listening to a podcast which I think you would absolutely love. I could see you hosting it. It's your exact kind of thing. It's called The Dollop, and it's by two guys, Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds, who are both, I think, both have been or are stand-up comedians. And essentially, Dave finds a piece of American history and just the two of them go through it and riff on it as it goes along. Some of the stories they've found are absolutely insane, and it's just hilarious. And I listen to this podcast while I go to the gym, and it's impossible for me to do a workout because I'm like halfway through doing a set of something, I'm just breaking down laughing. And, when you laugh when you're trying to lift something heavy, it's not a good combination.
Talk about needing a spot. Well, I would imagine that would be you got to know exactly what you're doing if you're going to peel through American history and riff comedically on it, because there's some dark ass shit in there. So they're not doing the dark ass shit, are they? Or are they? Because if they manage to turn the dark ass shit and make it work, then I definitely want to see that.
No, you should give the first few episodes a listen. I mean, dark. There's just some straight up stupid stuff. Like, for instance, dentistry didn't make its way into American culture for quite a while. And in the early days, dentistry was basically everybody on the street was a so-called dentist. Like, oh, I'll pull out your teeth for you. And it was horrible. And the things they did.
Barber was the dentist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Then there's other stuff like the big vampire epidemic of America that no one really talks about now, which was tuberculosis. They thought it was caused by vampires, and so the leading way to try and cure tuberculosis in someone was to dig up the vampire that was feeding on their life energy, i.e. the most recent relatives who have died, and eat their organs. Feed the organs to whoever's currently got tuberculosis, and by doing so, they'll conquer the vampire. There's some awful messed up shit. It's just crazy. But that's not even the worst of it.
Oh shit, I can't remember. What did JonTron did an episode on a certain actress who she's got a cosmetic line that sounds like, is it Goop? Gwyneth Paltrow. that shit
Oh.
that vampires are feeding on your energy, and you have to eat your organs relatives in order to get your energy back sounds like a fucking pitch from Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop line based on how
Really?
JonTron represented it in his video.
Oh,
They
God.
actually sold like some kind of, water that's if you use the energy, it's, it's all like in speak. So they didn't mean real vampires, but they meant, vampires who are stealing your energy. This will, turn them away. And what they're talking about is, social vampires, just people who are just kind of consuming you and that sort of a thing. Oh, this will restore your energy. But just the lines of shit that you had no idea Gwyneth Paltrow was spewing in order to sell, the shit that people just sell because it's cheap and it's easy. You can put anything in a pill and say, "Oh, this will cure your vampirism," and it's sugar and flaxseed or something. It's the same stuff
I'm trying
that
to find-
Alex Jones hawks between, telling us about how the lizard people are coming to take your children away and it's all a myth. And the buildings didn't fall in 9/11 and something else, and then he pitches to, and meanwhile, if you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy this $50 sack of horse shit. It's actual grade A horse shit, and if you mix it into some water with a little bit of chocolate, it's going to improve your health. Horse shit. Buy it today. Supports the show. Keeps the lizard people from taking over the Democratic Party and ruling the government. Horse shit.
Taking
Drink
over? Aren't they already here? No.
it.
Already in power. Yeah, so essentially, I think the takeaway from today's show so far is that you need to go listen to some of the dollop. I think you'll genuinely love it. And, I don't know if you have room for a podcast in your life, but maybe for anyone listening who does have room for a podcast in their life, the dollop, man, it's so funny. It's perfect.
We started out this conversation when you asked the question, do I think that there's room for that there's a way to have a better setup between entertainers and the fans? And the way that you posed that question, I don't. Did you expect me to just be like, no, and hardline it like that? Because I felt like you maybe had a lot of places you wanted to go with that, exploring the idea of bringing people in and not having this uneven, disproportionate, putting one person on a pedestal while everybody just stands and watches.
Well, actually, it's kind of yes and kind of no, because I think it's a very natural conclusion for a creator to come to at some point throughout their endeavors to get kind of, to make a living or at least to do something for a long time, like several years of making videos. I think I felt it. I think you felt it when you just are a bit sick of this one-way street and you wish there was a bit more of a kind of two-way dynamic relationship going. But it's all I came to that idea of trying to hopefully get past some of the mental blocks by involving the audience more and feeling like I'm part of a community, because being the head of a community, being the figurehead of HSC gaming, was never felt like I was in a community unless I was actually playing multiplayer games with other YouTubers. Then it was like a community vibe. But being in the HSC gaming community was never something I felt. So one of the things I was looking for was a way to actually feel included in this thing that is inherently all about me, right? Which just seems like such an innate, you wouldn't expect that to be a problem, but I think it's something that a lot of people encounter. However, I don't think there is any easy way to go about actually feeling that way, because of a lot of what we immediately no, I'm not surprised that you immediately said no, because how would you do that? How do you feel about it for yours?
Well, just because this is the thought that's lodged in my head, I think, when you're talking about looking for community and feeling like, you're not out of your own community kind of thing, I think the answer to that actually is that entertainers themselves need to build more communities. I mean, when you say that, you got the feeling when you were with other streamers and multiplayer and you're bouncing off other people, I think that's where we get hung up as entertainers. Because, my perspective on it is that inherently, like, I've learned over time by doing everything wrong. That's just how I live. And, like, the idea of an audience participation is great. But it's got to be audience participation. The audience cannot become the show, because then it's not the show anymore. If you value yourself and your own skill as an entertainer, as a presenter, as a creator, you can't just invite anyone and everyone up to be a part of the space. You can invite them to participate, to contribute, but then it's got to come back to you. I mean, and this is where it just sounds really like it's something that's very difficult to get on board with, even. Because you want to have a conversation, you want to have a dialogue, you want to have a back and forth. It's just natural. It's how life is. But when you step up onto a stage, you are now the fucking show. You are the product. You are the artist. You are the everything at that moment. And it's not fair to the people who are turning out to see a show to just bring people, in and let them, do something that isn't a show. But I think where we can, like, sort of resolve our own issues that entertainers run into, because I've certainly, felt it myself, is to just establish and reach out to and connect with more, creators and with other people, and establish a community where it's like, yes, okay, here are people who do this, who know how to do this, who have styles to do this, who are going to bounce off of me. There's going to be a back and forth of entertainers doing the profession of entertaining, and not just, hey, so-and-so, I love the idea of there's a certain comic that I got into recently. I don't remember his name now, but, the idea of reaching into the audience, being like, what do you do, sir? And that kind of a thing. But that's what it is. It's always a reaching into the audience. What do you do, sir? And then they say something, you make a joke about it. And then, so where are you coming from tonight? And so, who's that in your life? But it's always got to come back to you, and you've always got to do something with it. You invite...
And also
Go ahead.
The emphasis isn't on, in that situation, it's not him giving the mic to the audience member and just saying, hey, you talk about yourself for a bit. Because then that's like really putting that person on the spot. It's very much question, answer, bit more jokes, question, answer. Like it is reaching in and using the audience as part of the show in a very directed way. And funnily enough, my mind, when you said that, leapt back to the first videos that I think got very repeatably very popular on my channel, which was the Kerbal Space Program test pilot stuff, right? And I think you started watching my videos around that time, or at least that was the first one you saw. I remember you saying that you thought it was cool that like this was a way that I was generating content from the audience by having them submit things, and like it's keeping people engaged, and that whole dynamic. That was a good way, a good like half step towards this feeling of being in a community type of thing. But I think the real lesson is about audience participation in that way, that it needs to be directed when it happens, and then it's great. And if it's not directed and you're kind of putting pressure on them to be entertainers when they're not entertainers, then that's weird. I think the main conclusion I have out of this conversation today is that it's not a bad thing to have these kind of one-way relationships, because it's not like you are only ever in a one-way, top-down relationship. You are also involved in that relationship with other people, and you have other various two-way relationships. So the whole, like you pointed out about, the way you would look for a community as a content creator is to look for other content creators to be part of a community with. It's like, that makes so much more sense than trying to change the dynamic that is very clearly established in order to satisfy that particular thing. Rather than trying to retrofit a community vibe into something which is a one-way relationship, just find the more two-way relationships to build to get that community vibe. And that's okay. Like, it's fine for that to be the case. You don't have to be friends with everybody who watches you, and most of the people who watch you probably don't want to be your friend. They might enjoy your content, but
Well, and that too, in
do they
this
really
era,
actually?
and on this platform, on Twitch, has become like, a whole fucking industry in and of itself. That's kind of it's dirty, it's dirty in certain aspects where, it sounds like, great, well, he's, I'm friends with everybody who shows up at my stream. You're not, though. You can't possibly be. And when they are trying to present that image,
I
it's
really
like you're
hate it, to be
selling
honest.
friendship. It's not about like, I'm putting on a show, it's entertainment. Hey, check it out. Hope you enjoy, and I recognize and I'm interacting with you and all of that stuff. But this is the show kind of a thing. There are streamers out there who absolutely sell their friendship, and sell the idea that, we're just, we're buds,
I really don't like
relationships
it when
emerge naturally. I don't want to like leave the impression that it's like there's a fucking wall, and that it's like there's the audience and there's the entertainer, and the entertainer does the entertaining and the audience stays the goddamn audience. Like the relationships that I've formed since being a YouTuber and a live streamer with people who showed up as viewers, are very real. I have more friends and more communication with people in my Discord server than I do with people who are my real world friends and stuff like that. Like, I have very deep relationships with people who came as viewers. But I would say that there is and should always be a wall. It's just a semi-permeable wall. And you have to be very
More like a
delicate with
turnstile,
interacting with it, because
Gate.
it gets dangerous. It gets dangerous. You invite people in a certain way, and they start taking advantage of you, or not so much they're taking advantage of you, but they start sort of sapping your energy, sapping your time, expecting that you should be, and you just want to be polite, and so you're being polite, and then there's just that kind of thing, and it can get dangerous in a very literal sense that people who are much bigger than either of us are, have to face with fucking stalkers and people who just get a little bit obsessed. They start coming around and stuff, and it's like, you got a couple of fan letters from them, then one day they're on your door to say, hi, how you doing? I really loved you in that scene of the thing. Like, how do you know where I live? What the fuck? I pay a lot of money to keep my address out of the... Hi, welcome. Shit, now this person knows where I live. What do I do? Do I have to move? I feel like I have grown to the point where I feel like there needs to be a wall. But the wall is, it's a wall that everybody knows that that's the side that they should be on. And then occasionally, people come across, or you reach out and bring them across, or it just happens naturally. You can develop real friendships and real connections with people, in a career as an entertainer. And I have, but if you don't start with a wall, if you don't start with that, then it's too much. It's too much. Anybody can come in and just, walk into the friend zone and expect things from you. And it's not right. It's not right to even insinuate that is the kind of relationship that you are able to have with everyone and anyone who walks in the door.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. I think that sums up how I feel about the topic pretty well. And with that, I think that's a rather nice and natural way to end the stream for today. I'm pretty keen to get to bed on time today. I've got a big old meeting to go to tomorrow. So,
well, then make sure and use some of Gwyneth Paltrow's miracle sleep goop. You just put it in your ears and up your ass, and then you eat the bag of shit, and then boom, it takes care of itself.
I'm totally gonna go look up Goop and see what the hell.
You
said it was JonTron.
Yeah, JonTron. Gwyneth Paltrow Goop. You search that, you gonna have a good fun little time. He also did another one about Dan Aykroyd, who was marketing it was vodka in a bottle shaped like a crystal skull.
Okay.
And it's fine. It's fine that he's doing that, but god damn it, did he just hand out a whole bunch of material for Jontron to work with in terms of making fun of him. You know, if you want to do that, go ahead, but somebody's going to come along and point and laugh and get everybody else pointing and laughing.
I'll have to look up that one as well. But yeah, anyways, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Harv and Porn Show.
Stay on
Apologies
that
again
side
for
of the
my
wall,
terrible...
viewer.
Yeah, looking over the gate to you. This apologies for the video quality on me today. I hope the audio has been coming across mostly okay. We'll be back to normal in the next 2 weeks. Next week is a podcast, which will be coming out at some point. I think I've found a hosting website for us to use, so that'll be coming eventually. But otherwise, the next show will be in 2 weeks' time on the 19th of February. So make sure you're here for that.
Is that a Wednesday? I've got yogas Wednesday. Yogas?
Jim!
I have many yogas. Thanks for coming out,
Always
everybody.
Wednesday.
I'm set up, Paul, or Harv. I'm set up. Jesus. Yeah, it is time to end the show. All of my words are backwards and upside down. I can roll the credits now.
Oh, right. Well, first of all, let me say, if you enjoyed today's show and you're enjoying the other shows so far, and you're appreciating the skits that we, put a lot of effort into making, then you may want to help us out a little bit on patreon.com/harvandporn.
Or by buying our vodka in a crystal skull. It is on sale now for $59.99.
Using our referral link to goop.com/harvandporn. A little bit of Gwyneth Paltrow in all of you and in our pockets as well. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you go away and do whatever it is that makes you happy. We'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Where's the button? I have nothing. Oh, there's the button. I found it.
Harv, porn, Harv, porn, Harv and porn, and 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 Harv and porn. Harv and porn.